Good morning and welcome to Gospel Bytes, where we take a bite at the gospel for the day. Today is Monday, October 23. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, O Lord. This is from Luke chapter 12, verses 13 to 21. A man in the crowd said to him, Master, tell my brother to give me a share of our inheritance. He said to him, My friend, who appointed me your judge or the arbitrator of your claims? Then he said to them, Watch and be on your guard against avarice or greed of any kind, for life does not consist in possessions, even when someone has more than he needs. Then he told them a parable. There was once a rich man who, having had a good harvest from his land, thought to himself, What am I to do? I have not enough room to store my crops. Then he said, This is what I will do. I will pull down my barns and build bigger ones, and store all my grain and my goods in them. And I will say to My soul, you have plenty of good things laid by for many years to come. Take things easy, eat, drink, have a good time. But God said to him, Fool, this very night the demand will be made for your soul. And this hoard of yours, whose will it be then? So it is when someone stores up treasure for himself instead of becoming rich in the sight of God. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. So today we hear a story about a rich man. This is usually called the parable of the rich fool, because he was called a fool by God. And although he was rich, he was greedy. If you notice what he said, what God said to him, fool. In Psalm 14, it said there that the fool says in his heart, there is no God. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. The one who does not believe in God says in his heart. Now notice he didn't say, says in his mouth. So he could be professing, I believe in God, but in his heart, he does not truly believe in God. That is foolishness. And this man was called a fool by God. So this man was practically an unbeliever. He may be a Jew who believed in the God of Abraham, but his life, his heart says otherwise. And you can see why, because it said here, there was a man who, having had a good harvest from his land, it didn't say he did all the work. It just so happened that year was very productive. In other words, God has blessed him with a good harvest. It wasn't that he was more hardworking that year than any other year, but God has blessed him. That was the only reason he had a good harvest. So already, you will notice, everything that he said was about himself. No? He said, what shall I do? I have so much. No? He didn't say, well, what will I do? God has blessed me so much. No, it wasn't what he did. Now notice too, he wasn't a bad man because he did not steal, he did not abuse anyone. The fact, but the thing is, he never recognized the work of God, the blessings of God, the work of God in his life. So he was a fool in that sense, thinking that everything that happened was because of him. And what did he do? He said, I'll tear out my barn because they won't fit in that barn. I'll build a big one or another one so that I can stack them all up, and then I can retire for many years to come. So everything is about me. See, he said, I will tell my soul, you have plenty of good things laid for many years to come. Take things easy, eat, drink, and have a good time. He was talking to himself. He wasn't even praying to God. He was telling himself, "Look, you're so you're so good, and now you have enough to retire." Sometimes we put our trust so much on securities that we think, yeah, I need to look after myself and only myself, because when I get older, nobody's going to look after me. And so if I have enough, then I can sit back and relax. That's the only time I can relax. So sometimes we forget that it is God who takes care of us, not ourselves, not our money. And because we're so caught up with our insecurity that we put, life is so fragile, but all these material things are even more fragile than life itself. With just a drop or a snap in the stock market, everything can fall off. Like there's a war happening, and all of a sudden there's a recession. So what happened to all those uh, stocks and dollars and all that they've saved? It's very fragile, and we cannot really put our life on things that are more fragile than life. That's why God is the only security that we can have. He's the only one that we can say, yeah, I can trust God with my life. I can trust God with my future. That was one of the concerns I had when I was deciding the call to the priesthood. I've seen a lot of old priests, and I used to think, who's going to take care of me when I grow old? I can give myself my whole life, but in the end, I'll have to look after myself. But the thing is, I thought, it's not me who's going to take care of myself. God will take care of me. And so I was at rest, and I said, whatever happens, God will look after me. And I recommend that you recognize that as well. That no matter who you are, God is going to look after you. Don't worry too much about what's going to happen tomorrow. Don't worry too much about how you're going to fare in the future, because God has your back. He's going to take care of you, and so we don't need to be greedy. We can share, because that's why we have more than what we need, because we are in a position to share. That's what you call stewardship. Those people who have heard my talk on stewardship, that the things that we don't need, they don't belong to us. They're not ours. So when we keep them to ourselves, we're like stealing the things that are meant for others. Now God has allotted enough for each one of us, for everyone. We just need to pass it on. We just need to share what we have, because that's not ours. So it's a call for us to share, and also to be grateful for the blessings and the gifts that God has given us. I hope you'll be generous in every way with your time, your talent, your treasure, because all of these are from God. I'm Father Jerry Sembrano for another edition of Gospel Bytes. God bless you. We'll see you soon, and have a nice day.